The English Mic, learn English. Welcome to the English Mic, your go-to channel for fun, simple, and effective English learning. Whether you're a beginner or looking to improve your skills, we've got lessons, tips, and conversations to boost your confidence. Let's speak English better together. Today we're diving into some truly fascinating reflections from Bill Gates. We've been looking at a conversation where he shares insights on everything from his early days building Microsoft to his current philanthropic work. Get ready to unpack some aha moments.
Yeah, this is a great chance to really understand the mindset behind some pretty remarkable achievements.
Yeah.
We'll be exploring his intense early focus, his relationships, some quite complex, and how his whole definition of success has sort of evolved. It's
Right.
not just what he did, but the how and the why. I think that can offer us some valuable perspectives.
Okay, so right off the bat, Gates talks about his early obsession with Microsoft. He mentions this incredible dedication, working weekends, skipping vacations.
hmm
And he didn't see it as a sacrifice. He genuinely loved it. It makes you wonder about that level of commitment.
It really does. This intense focus fueled by what seems like real passion. It's a crucial takeaway, I think.
Yeah.
It suggests that deep engagement, really loving what you're doing, can drive amazing results, even if it means, big lifestyle choices.
Definitely.
For you listening, it might spark a thought about identifying those areas where your passion aligns with your goals.
Oh, yeah.
Could lead to more sustainable, impactful effort.
And he also mentioned how others initially just laughed at the idea of everyone having a computer.
Right. Ridiculed it.
Right.
And that actually motivated him. That contrarian thinking is pretty interesting.
Absolutely. And he makes a point about Microsoft having this broader vision for software compared to others back then.
Yeah, they were thinking bigger.
Aiming for a whole ecosystem, not just one product.
Hmm.
And he said that required being really hardcore.
Exactly. That highlights the power of a comprehensive and ambitious vision. Their belief in computers everywhere, even when people were skeptical, that was fundamental.
You think that hardcore approach came from that conviction?
I think so, yeah. That dedication probably stemmed right from that strong belief.
Thinking about your own goals, do you have that clear, overarching vision driving you day to day?
Good question. He also credits his early exposure, right? Computers through his family and school.
Oh, definitely.
Talking about thousands of programming hours, getting feedback early on. It wasn't like a sudden thing. It was nurtured.
That early immersion must have been a huge advantage. It really underscores the impact of access and support, in shaping expertise.
Yeah.
Those opportunities let him build a deep understanding, a passion,
Yeah.
long before it was mainstream. His early programming wasn't just messing around. It was likely learning actual languages,
Yeah.
getting feedback, refining his skills. That's crucial for mastering anything technical.
Makes you reflect on your own early experiences. What set you on your path?
Exactly. What were those formative moments for you?
Okay, shifting gears a bit. The whole Steve Jobs and Bill Gates relationship, it's almost mythical.
Legendary, yeah. Gates called their companies General Motors and Mercedes. That paints quite a picture, doesn't it?
It does, but what's also interesting is how he emphasized their early collaborations.
Right? People forget that.
Like on the Apple II with Microsoft Basic, that was a key programming language back then, and later, Microsoft writing software for the Macintosh.
So it wasn't always purely adversarial.
Not at all. There were these moments of really significant cooperation that helped shape the whole industry.
And Gates, he expressed real admiration for Steve Jobs' genius in design and user interface, that intuition he had, which was quite different from his own focus on engineering and code. He clearly respected Jobs' strengths.
And that highlights the power of complementary skills, doesn't it? Different strengths, even with intense competition, led to big advancements. Gates saw the unique value Jobs brought, something he maybe didn't have in the same way.
In your own collaborations, do you value those differing strengths? It's a good reminder. He also shared some later reflections. Conversations with a more mature Steve Jobs, talking about their kids, computers and education.
Ah, yes.
And interestingly, he said they both felt their early optimism about tech transforming education hadn't fully panned out.
That's really insightful, actually. It shows some humility, right? A willingness to look back and say, okay, maybe we were a bit off.
Yeah.
The initial excitement didn't quite become the revolution they maybe thought it would. Makes you think about our own predictions for new tech, how we might need to reassess them later.
When is the time you had to revise your own expectations based on reality?
Oh, plenty of times.
And he mentioned appearing together publicly with Walt Mossberg, reflecting on their friendship despite all the competitive stuff in the past.
It suggests that even with intense professional rivalry, personal connections and respect can endure. Moving beyond just competition, it speaks to some maturity, a shared history.
Definitely. Now, Gates also spoke very warmly about his parents' influence.
Yes, that was quite touching.
He felt they accepted him for being different, even when he was, as he put it, pushing back. That kind of acceptance, it must be incredibly valuable.
It really is. That balance they seem to strike, acceptance but also guidance, feels crucial. They saw his intensity, like that crazy 200-page report on Delaware he wrote.
Right.
Even if they weren't sure how to handle him sometimes, it really highlights how important it is to acknowledge and support individual differences, especially in young people.
And he specifically credited sending him to therapy with a Dr. Cressy, called it brilliant.
Yeah, that was a key point.
Said it helped him understand his parents' love and sort of redirect his energy. Not change him, but channel that intensity better.
It just underscores the value of mentorship, maybe professional guidance when navigating those tricky developmental stages. Dr. Cressy seems to have offered this crucial perspective, bridging the gap between his focus and his parents' worries.
Makes you think about the key people in your own life who helped you through challenges. He even talked about feeling embarrassed later about challenging his parents' arbitrary rules because he thought he was smarter.
Such an honest admission, isn't it? That youthful arrogance many bright kids might feel.
Yeah.
It speaks to maturing, learning to appreciate different kinds of wisdom, different authorities, and Dr. Cressy helped him see he was wrong, but gracefully, fostering self-awareness without shame. It's a reminder that being book smart isn't everything.
His mother clearly had high expectations, and he felt driven to meet them, even exceed them. And he valued her lessons on things like table manners, getting him to talk to adults, things he now sees as vital for his social development. Funny how small things stick.
Totally. Those seemingly minor social skills, manners, conversation, they often play a huge role in navigating the world, personally and professionally. His mom's foresight there really complemented his intellectual side.
He got quite emotional talking about his mother passing early and her influence on his philanthropy.
You could hear it.
It sounds like her values about giving back were just deeply ingrained.
That early loss of a parent, it can have such a profound impact. It's clear her values kept shaping his path, especially towards philanthropy later on. Her belief in using success for good really became a guiding principle for him.
And he contrasted her high expectations with his father's calmer, thoughtful example.
Yeah, different styles.
He remembered finding a supportive note from his dad about his career dreams. That quiet encouragement can be so powerful.
It really highlights the different ways parents provide support, doesn't it? His mom gave the push, set the high bar. His dad offered that steady, reassuring presence, that unwavering belief, a beautiful example of complementary parenting.
His dad was also a source of wise advice at key moments early in his career.
Right, he mentioned that.
Gates shared how his father just saying, "I hear you," during a tense contract negotiation made a huge difference. Taught him the power of feeling understood.
That's a great anecdote. Shows how effective calm understanding can be in resolving conflict, building consensus, a lesson that probably stuck with him. Sometimes the simplest words are the most powerful.
He talked about how his parents' approach influenced his own parenting, mentioning love and logic. It's fascinating seeing how upbringing shapes the next generation.
It shows that conscious effort, right? Taking the best from your own childhood, reflecting on what worked, maybe what you'd do differently. It's just a natural part of growing up.
And he reflected on his relationship with his father evolving, especially later on, suggesting a deeper connection. Those relationships often keep changing as we mature ourselves.
Indeed. As we get more life experience, our appreciation for our parents often deepens, I find.
Gates also shared a favorite quote. "We overestimate what we can do in 1 year, and we underestimate what we can do in 10 years.
Ah, that's a classic. And so true.
Really speaks to having that long-term view.
It perfectly captures that idea of incremental progress, the power of compounding efforts over time. He remembered the skepticism about Microsoft's vision.
Right, the computer on every desk.
And how technology improving exponentially eventually made it happen. It's a good reminder for all of us, isn't it? Be patient with long-term goals, stay consistent.
He made an interesting point, too, about how measuring wealth is just easier than measuring philanthropic impact.
That's a really candid observation.
About how we define success.
It is. Financial success, you can count it easily. But the real impact of giving back, that's often more complex, takes longer, it's harder to put a number on. He's kind of pushing us to think more deeply about what meaningful success actually looks like.
He touched on friendships with other tech leaders, Bezos, Zuckerberg, mentioned Elon Musk's unique position. Always interesting to get a peek into those circles.
Yeah, his insights there offer a glimpse into those dynamics at the top, the collaborations, the competition, and the fact he's advising based on Microsoft's past. It highlights shared challenges in that world.
And he seemed genuinely proud of Microsoft's success under Satya Nadella, said it allows him to focus on philanthropy.
Like a healthy transition, confidence in the company's legacy, freeing him up for these huge global challenges he's tackling now.
And he was very firm on the responsibility of immense wealth, calling huge fortunes almost illegitimate if not used for good. That's a strong stance.
It really is. It reflects a growing feeling among some of the wealthiest, this ethical imperative to address global inequality, solve major problems.
He talked about the potential of philanthropy in areas like malaria eradication, malnutrition. He clearly sees it as a powerful tool.
And his focus on specific high-impact areas shows a strategic approach, not just broad gestures, but aiming for tangible results. Targeted, evidence-based giving.
He mentioned the Giving Pledge, too, as a way for the wealthy to connect and learn from each other.
Right. Fostering a community of givers, encouraging collaboration, sharing best practices, trying to make philanthropy more effective overall.
He even recounted meeting Donald Trump to argue for continued U.S. support for global health, like HIV medicine, polio eradication.
Shows a willingness to engage across political lines for causes he really believes in.
Yeah, that's important.
Underscores the need for bipartisan support for critical global health efforts, rising above politics for the greater good.
And he finished that part reflecting on America's moral purpose, being a beacon of democracy, a force for good.
That's a broader view, isn't it, about the role nations can play in global well-being, upholding certain values.
Looking ahead, though, Gates expressed some concerns. Polarization of democracy, the challenges of AI, major issues on everyone's mind.
His concerns definitely echo a wider anxiety, don't they? About the state of politics and all the potential disruptions and ethics around AI advancing so fast.
He predicts AI policies will be central in future presidential debates. Seems almost certain given the pace of change.
Highlights the urgent need for leaders to really grapple with this stuff, develop thoughtful frameworks for AI's impact across society.
But he also pointed out the positive potential of AI. Personalized education, better healthcare, especially in developing countries, sees both sides.
Yeah, his optimism there is noteworthy. Personalized learning could be revolutionary. And AI in healthcare, especially in places with limited resources, transformative.
He talked about that tricky balance, free speech versus combating misinformation, especially with things like vaccines, a real challenge today.
Oh, absolutely. That tension between protecting expression and safeguarding public health, ensuring accurate info. It's a critical dilemma societies are wrestling with right now.
He discussed motivation and education, how AI tutors might help. Connects back to tech needing to be engaging to actually work.
Suggests a more nuanced take, right? Not just throwing tech at problems, but focusing on personalized learning, fostering that intrinsic motivation that's key for real learning.
He even mused about possibly being diagnosed on the autism spectrum if he were young today, and how that label might have affected him. Very personal.
His willingness to consider that offers a valuable perspective, how our understanding of neurodiversity has changed, and the potential impact, good and bad, of labels.
And he reaffirmed his belief in therapy, its ongoing value in navigating life's complexities.
Just reinforces that seeking support for mental well-being is a strength, really, invaluable for anyone under pressure.
He reflected on losing his friend Kent, and later Paul Allen, how those experiences shaped him. Loss is transformative.
Grief, loss, they're universal. His reflections highlight the lasting impact of close relationships and how coping with loss changes your perspective.
He mentioned tending to look forward, but also the growing importance of looking back as he gets older. A natural shift, maybe?
Seems like it. As we age, we often look back more, try to make sense of it all, draw lessons, appreciate the journey.
He acknowledged equating intelligence mainly with math ability early on and growing to appreciate more diverse skills. That's real personal evolution.
Shows a more holistic view of intelligence, right? Valuing different talents, different perspectives, and achieving things and contributing meaningfully.
And reflecting on early insecurities, masking them by wanting to be the smartest person in the room, and how his leadership style evolved, that self-awareness is key.
Recognizing and addressing your own insecurities. It's vital for growth, personal and professional. Leads to better collaboration, better leadership.
And finally, he teased 2 more books coming out. Sounds like there's more to learn.
Definitely. It's certainly been insightful digging into these excerpts, a unique window into his life, career, and how his views have shifted.
We hope this deep dive is giving you some surprising insights, maybe some memorable details, offering you that shortcut to being well-informed.
Yeah, consider that balance he talked about, intense focus versus broader perspectives. What level of that hardcore dedication might actually help you reach your goals?
And think about mentors, supportive figures in your life. Have you had people like his parents or Dr. Cressy who guided you through tricky times?
Finally, maybe reflect on that idea, focusing on impact, contribution, alongside maybe more traditional success measures. How might prioritizing a service list next to or even above a rich list shift your motivations, your values?
Lots to think about. Thank you for joining us for this deep dive. We definitely encourage exploring the full conversation for even more perspectives.
Absolutely.
Join us next time for another in-depth exploration.